here's your host, Alex Garrett.
It's a new month, and I'm like, why not jazz this up a little bit with a little Joker and the Thief? You know, Lou Terminello, I think you know this song from some football games and sporting events, right?
Absolutely. It's very invigorating, and yes, good way to start the new month.
I know, and I'm like, well, yesterday on LinkedIn, people were wishing me happy anniversary for this podcast, so, well, let's get a little music to this. Why not?
Well, yes, happy anniversary.
And happy anniversary to Tom Brady. I think a year ago today he did the same announcement, if not a few days before or after. But
yeah, I think it was February 1st. I think you might be correct.
So literally Groundhog Day's tomorrow, and I feel like, is this Groundhog Day? Is he doing this for like 90-day period and then coming back, or is this it?
No, this is it for real. I would be shocked. I mean, I'm surprised. First of all, I'm surprised. I thought he was coming back, and I think I had said that before on some of the previous shows. He had options. I mean, especially for a guy who played every snap of 17 regular season games and one playoff game. He played well. He threw for, over 4,700 yards. So I was surprised because the quarterback position, as we talked about, there are so many teams looking for competent quarterbacks, and there just aren't that many options for these teams that are looking for quarterbacks, especially after what happened in San Francisco, Philadelphia, on that first drive when Brock Purdy suffered, which now know is a ruptured UCL and is basically Tommy John surgery. I know it's a little bit different for a quarterback throwing a football than a pitcher throwing a baseball, but I thought that was going to be Brady's opening, going to Frisco, a team that obviously is Super Bowl ready, and I was surprised. But when I heard the announcement this morning and then I looked at the video, he looked washed out, Alex. He did. He looked like this preyed on his mind, and I think he went back and forth before he finally made the decision to say, okay, this is time to walk away and walk into the Fox broadcast booth next year, which creates a whole different set of scenarios considering the nice job that Greg Olson has done as the lead guy on the lead broadcast team for Fox this year. So, yeah, I was surprised.
And he will not be on the Super Bowl. But you know what? There are so many surprises. You never know. He might end up there anyway. This might be Fox's way of trying to be coy about it. We don't know yet. We'll have to see. Hey, I got to tell you.
I can see him on the pregame show. You know, the pregame show was like 9 hours. So I definitely can see him on the pregame show doing something, but I cannot see him in the booth during the game. It wouldn't be fair to Greg Olson. It wouldn't be fair to Kevin Burkhardt. It wouldn't be fair to the fans.
All right, well, let me ask you this, or let you know about this. Did you hear that Jimmy G will not be coming back most likely to San Francisco? And I thought it was poignant what the guy said after the game, which is, hey, San Francisco ends the year exactly where they started. Uncertainty at QB, and now it's official that Jimmy G's probably not coming back, according to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and from what you hear from all the medical people, that Purdy's injury, he'll be ready for the opening day. Well, he got hurt at the end of January. He's going to be operated on. It's a 6-month operation. That's going to take him well into July. Yeah, I know the season doesn't start until September 12th, 13th, somewhere around there. But they're playing it close to the vest. And we don't know anything about Trey Lance. We haven't seen enough of him. He has no body of work. Purdy, in his 8 games, or 7 games, because we really can't count Sunday, gave us a good body of work. So it's the Niners have a little bit of an interesting situation there. But I think if Purdy is healthy, he's definitely going to be a quarterback.
All right, I got to say, the name of the game on Championship Sunday was discipline or lack thereof. I mean, fact is, the Niners held the Eagles, as you like to say, close to the vest for a quarter, and then that second quarter, those fouls on that one specific drive, which helped the Eagles go up 14-7. Of course, they end the half 21-7, but those fouls, I mean, they kept adding up for San Francisco, and I just think discipline, much like the Chiefs game, was the name of the game and why these teams that lost.
Well, a couple of differences between the end of the Chiefs game and the drive you're talking about. After the Niners had tied at 7-7, the Eagles did come down, take the lead 14-7, and you are 100% right. There were penalties, and they were all legitimate penalties on the 49ers that helped the Eagles take the 14-7 lead. Then, of course, Josh Johnson, who's a longtime NFL backup and their fourth-string quarterback, took his eyes off the shotgun snap, fumbled the football, Eagles recovered, and then they went ahead 21-7 into halftime. You knew that the game was over. The game was, it was a non-competitive event right after that. There was no way they were getting back, especially after the concussion by Johnson in the third quarter, and obviously Purdy couldn't throw. So
and then what really got to me was the Trent Williams throwdown of Wallace, and why Wallace got ejected, I don't know, because he was really a victim in that situation. And then the push out of bounds on Mahomes when he was 5 yards out of bounds. I mean, that cost the Bengals the game. Those two moments stand out to me that day, though.
Yes. Now, that was a penalty. There's no way around it. You can't say, well, in that situation, the referee should have swallowed their whistle. They couldn't have swallowed their whistle. It's a shame. Joe Asai had played a very good game up to that point. But there was a hold on Kansas City on that scramble, and there was a push in the back on that punt return that came out to the 50. By the way, that 29-yard punt return, the last punt return of the season going into the Super Bowl, was Kansas City's longest punt return of the year for 29 yards. That game should have definitely went into overtime. Cincinnati should have been able to get the game to overtime when they had the ball in the last minute and a half. They threw a couple long passes if they got a couple of first downs. I don't understand their strategy there. But there was a couple of curious calls that went against the Bengals, unlike in the Eagle game where that was all legitimate calls on the Niners.
And I think once the roughing the kicker, which I don't know was questionable because of the push into the punter, I think the Niners gave up, and when Greenlaw showed that, I mean, his frustration was there. Rocky Balboaing, as they said, the football, trying to get the football. Hey, I don't remember left or right hook being taught in strip of the football school. Do you?
That is correct. You categorize that and exactly correct. Yeah, no, they definitely were frustrated. I think their frustration was mostly because, they knew they were up against it once Purdy got hurt, and they were saying, we lost Lance. We lost Garoppolo. Now we lost Purdy. And they even lost Josh Johnson. They really, I think the frustration just got the best of a very good football team who will be back next year. They'll be favorites to win the West again, and they'll be one of the 3-4 favorites to go to the Super Bowl.
And by the way, this is the second straight year the Niners have actually lost a title game. Actually, the Bengals won last year, so it's like a 1-1 draw on that end. But on the NFC side, that's 0-2, 2 straight years for San Francisco. And isn't Shanahan the coach that sort of blew up the Super Bowl against, Mahomes?
Well, he was the offensive coordinator, and he, I guess there was some criticism of him that he wasn't protecting the lead, using the clock properly, as that 25-point lead crumbled for the Falcons when the greatest player in NFL history brought the Patriots back from 28-3. So
that is remarkable. I have Ryan's jersey because I had to have both of them from that game. It's you have to have a moment like that and have the jersey for it. Why not? Hey, real quick, the Mahomes story though is really intriguing to me. Every time someone comes out with a leg issue or sort of that nature, I always think of Willis Reed. I feel like it's not the Michael Jordan flu game, Tony Romo. It's more like a Willis Reed Game 7 on a bad leg kind of game that Mahomes had. This kid has moxie, he has character, and he has, what did I say earlier? The will to win, man. He has it.
He has the will to win, and it's funny you mentioned something about the great captain Willis Reed, personal friend of mine, and I asked Willis about that. I said, did you ever think about not coming out that night because you were in such agony with your leg pain? And he said to me, if I didn't come out that night, Game 7, I would have had to live with that for the rest of my life. I would have left my teammates down, and that would have been a big disappointment for me for the rest of my life, no matter what I was coming out. and obviously he did. Obviously, he was dragging his leg around. He had a couple of jump shots early, which paved the early lead for the Knicks, and they won the Game 7 easily. He said, but it was never in my mind not to come out. And I believe Mahomes has that same kind of mentality. Hey, Mahomes was really hurt, and then he re-injured that leg when he was rolling out to the left on that one play, and he put all his weight on the injured leg. But that did not stop him. He's an incredible leader. His physical talents are incredible. He was not going to let the Chiefs lose that game.
That's what I said earlier. You can't teach that in someone.
You cannot teach that. You are so correct, Alex.
All right. Well,
now, they were the benefit of some calls at the end, but again, that's the way it goes.
By the way, I have Lou Terminello on every week, and we failed to introduce you as this sports executive industry leader. We just try to kind of jump into it. But, of course, you know Willis Reed because of your background with the Nets. And so for those listening for the first time to this podcast, give a little background as to why we turn to you every week for Terminello's Take.
Well, as you said, I am an industry veteran. I worked with the Nets for 28 years, and it was 28 tremendous years. I also worked for the New Jersey Sports and Exhibition Authority, which ran the stadium, the arena, the racetrack, also Monmouth Park. I was there for a couple of years, and then after that I had the privilege of being sports director at AM 970 and WMCA and working with you, Alex, for 5.5 fantastic years, and that's my sports connections, and I have a lot of good sports connections. And Willis Reed became head coach at the end of the 1988 season. After he was assistant coach at Sacramento, we became good friends, and he's a friend to this day. And he taught me a lot about the NBA, and it was really a good time knowing a legend like Willis Reed.
Well, I love that you're able to share that with us. All right, another legend, because my dad's a Blackhawk fan, and I think hockey overall lost a legend this week in Bobby Hull. Any stories of him? Any encounters with him? Like, did you get to know him?
I never met him. I'm a huge hockey fan, as you know. I remember the night that he broke the record with his 51st goal in 1965, at the end, in March of 1966. It was a 65-66 season. He had an amazing slap shot when he came down that left side and wound up and fired. It was almost terrifying. And in those days, him and Stan Mikita, another Blackhawk superstar, they bent their stick, and they had this huge curve which created not only speed but was tougher for the goalies to follow. And now they have limitations on how much they can curve your stick. But in those early days, they didn't. And that made it for a very entertaining offensive game in the mid to late 60s. But Bobby Hull was larger than life. Remember, it was only a 16 league. The NHL was truly a niche sport in those days. And I will never forget that night, a Saturday night in Chicago. The Ranger games were on Channel 9. Remember, there was no Devils. There was no Islanders at this time. There were no Nets at this time. So there was only the Knicks and the Rangers. And he scored from between the circles, maybe about 10 feet deep from the circles, blew a slap shot past Ranger goaltender Cesar Maniago, and they went crazy at the old Chicago Stadium, which I never saw a hockey game there, which I heard was tremendous, but I did see a couple of basketball games there, and you were right on top of the action in old Chicago Stadium.
Well, my dad, being the Chicago fan he was, I think he tells stories of how we did watch both teams at Chicago Stadium. At least I think that's where the half-court shot was made in 92, I believe it was, with the Bulls. I hear an ESPN alert. See, Lou is always on it for us. Hey, I got to switch sports here real quick because
sure.
we left Friday night actually talking about what do we call the hot stove if they're going to ban hot stoves, a gas stove, right? But sure enough.
Yeah, no, you know what? I have to confess I haven't really thought about how we can spruce up that name now as that we're going to outlaw gas stoves.
But as we finished, sure enough, later that night, Jeff McNeil signs 4 years. And here's the thing about it. The thing about it is, I think the question is going to be what they do with Alonso next, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to sign Alonso. He might be signed before opening day. The Jeff McNeil signing, I'm going to be honest with you. I think, and I know this is crazy when you're getting $12.5 million a year for the next 4 years, I think the Mets got him on a bargain. I thought for sure he'd be a $20 million a year player. The fact that they got him for $50 million for 4 years surprised me a little bit. I thought he would be about, between 75-ish, 80, especially the way, these players make money nowadays, and he's a defending National League batting champion. So that was a great signing by the Mets. And they will sign Alonso. They will.
On that note, I know that the Mets lost out on Correa, but I guess for the Mets peace of mind would be re-signing him to a big deal, right?
Yes, it would be. And Alonso's not going anywhere. Believe me, they're going to take care of that. That might, like I said, might even be done before opening day. I cannot see that becoming a contentious situation between the Mets and Pete Alonso. He loves where he is. Met fans love him. He's not going anywhere.
That's a welcoming thing, considering I have about 2 jerseys now from Alonso, so I don't want him going anywhere. All right, Lou, I don't want him going anywhere. All right, we haven't talked about them much, but I want to get you on right before tip-off of the Cross River rivalry of the Seton Hall Pirates and the St. John's Red Storm, 2 organizations I know that you still follow to this day, and you love the guys who call the game, and you know them personally. These games are always personal for us, Lou, right? Knowing our connections?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we know the broadcast crew of Seton Hall. Obviously, when we know John Minko, one of the nicest guys in pro sports media. So, yes, it's close to both of us from our days at AM 970 and WMCA, no doubt about it. But and I think it's a very interesting game tonight.
What do you expect for tonight, then? Because obviously both teams are not where they want to be, if I'm honest with you.
They're middle-of-the-pack teams. Both of them are middle-of-the-pack teams in the Big East. And they're kind of mirror images of each other, Alex. Seton Hall averages 69 points a game. They give up 64. St. John's plays at a faster pace. They score 77 a game, and the Johnnies give up about 73 a game. But they play at a fast pace. Their rebounding is about the same. They both average around between 36 and 39 rebounds a game. Their field goal percentage, Seton Hall is like 44%, and St. John's like 46%. They both shoot free throws at 68%, and sometimes that gets them in trouble down the stretch. The thing is, Seton Hall played a tougher pre-conference schedule, and I think that's going to benefit Seton Hall if they have any chance of getting on the bubble. Neither of these teams are NCAA teams right now. Both of them beat UConn. That is really crazy. But the St. John's needed a shot by the freshmen to beat a terrible Georgetown team at the Garden with 2 seconds to go the other day. Like I said, both they're inconsistent. Neither team, in my opinion, is impressive. Soriano has been terrific for St. John's. I mean, he is not only scoring, but rebounding. I think he's averaging like 12 rebounds a game. Seton Hall's a better defensive team. Adukali and KD Nadefo are terrific defensive players. I think Holloway has more of a defensive mindset than Mike Anderson. So tonight, if I had to favor somebody, I would favor St. John's winning tonight. They're on the home court, And like I said, both teams are up and down. Seton Hall is 6-5 in the Big East. St. John's is only 4-7. So if they go to 4-8, they're really in trouble. And the pressure's starting to build. We talked about it on earlier shows, Mike Anderson being in a little bit of hot water. And I guess it's now out there that the athletic director, Greg, has kind of not put the pressure on them, but has by saying, we don't know what we're going to do with the situation with Anderson. I think he's in trouble. I really do. I think Mike Anderson is in trouble.
Mainly because we're clear of the pandemic year, All right. One last thought on this week's Terminello Take. We're trying to zoom through all these, but you want to mention about Kyrie's amazing effort on Saturday night. And look, the Knicks are on a downward. I see they're in 7th now. Nets are staying consistent. What is going to happen on the NBA side of things for New York and Brooklyn?
Well, Kyrie's performance is the last 7 games while Durant has been hurt. And it's a shame because the Nets are the second best threat. With all the nonsense going on that had happened in the summertime, early on in the season, the Kyrie suspension, with everything that was going on, when Durant got hurt, they had the second best record in the NBA. Kyrie's been tremendous. They're 4-6 without Durant. And again, Ben Simmons, while he's a good defender and he is a very good passer, I don't know what the deal is with him. He can't score. He's not aggressive offensively. He's afraid to get fouled. When he gets fouled, he's shooting 46%. Sometimes he's an albatross. He didn't play against the Knicks the last 11 and a half minutes the other night when Kyrie absolutely was spectacular and the Knicks could not stop him. It was truly a spectacular stretch that he's going through, Kyrie, and he was tremendous in that fourth quarter. I expect the Nets to make a trade before the February 9th trade deadline to get another big body. With the Knicks, I'm going to stick with what I thought, unless they make a blockbuster trade before February 9th, which I don't see. I think they're going to win around between 38 and 44 games. I think the worst they'll be is in the play-in. Brunson is better than I anticipated. Julius Randle is Julius Randle. Some nights he looks great, like he did against the Celtics, but against the Nets, after a couple of early baskets, he was nowhere. I think they felt the pressure because the Nets have beaten them 8, now 9 games in a row. I think they felt the pressure that, oh my gosh, we can't beat the Nets without Simmons, without T.J. Warren, a key reserve, without Durant. If we can't beat them on this Saturday night, when are we going to beat them? I think they felt the pressure. I really do. I really, and then again, you saw last night when they had a chance to win the game against the Lakers. They came back from 6 down with 2 minutes to go. They had that last possession, and I'm not going to kill Randall because he was double teamed by Anthony Davis and LeBron James. But there was a slight opportunity to throw the ball out. And I'm not going to really put the blame on Randall for that because there was only 4 seconds to go, and he couldn't. It would have been a tough pass. But again, winners sometimes make those plays. I don't know if Randall is a number 1 guy. He might be a third option on a really good team.
Well, on that note, Lou, we're trying to keep this train moving along. So I want to thank you for joining tonight. And guess what? It's all Super Bowl next week, is it not?
Oh, I can't wait to talk about Super Bowl week. Yep, Super Bowl week, NFL Hall of Fame announcements next week, awards announcements in the NFL next week, so there's a lot to talk about next week.
Stay tuned for Lou Terminello's take on the Alex Garrett Sports Spotlight. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you, Alex. Always a pleasure being with you.